what we're going to do in order to get started here is I'll give you a preview of things to come. We're going to do a warm up together, and then I'm going to take us through 2 circuits today that we will do each 3 times. Okay, so this is kind of like a circuit training sort of class, interval training. Each circuit will have 4 movements, and I'll reiterate this, but this is just to kind of like give you a tour of what it's going to look like. Each circuit has 4 movements: an upper body, a lower body, a core, and a cardio. Okay, so circuit number 1, there will be upper body, a lower body, a core, and a cardio, not necessarily in that order, but we'll do those 4, and then we'll do it again, and then we'll do it a 3rd time. And then we'll move on to circuit number 2, an upper body, a lower body, a core, and a cardio, and we'll do it again, and then we'll do it a 3rd time. And then we're gonna finish it out with some stretching and breathing, and because I'm a yoga instructor too, we're gonna take a Shavasana. Okay, so this is kind of a combination. What I was thinking behind, what I wanted to accomplish in this class, and I want it to have some of the things that yoga I think is lacking, and that's reps, strength, maybe the opportunity to build a little bit of sweat and work some cardio. So I think that's a gap in the yoga space. But I also wanted to bring into weight training what I think weight training is lacking, and that's breath practice, mindfulness, and mobility. And so I kind of want to fuse the 2 together between weight training and yoga, and it's going to be kind of this fun body weight training sort of experiment that we're doing together. And so I'm probably going to workshop some things. I'm going to experiment on some things, kind of some primal movements, some animal flow sorts of things. So let's go ahead and get started. Get nice and comfortable in your space. And we're just going to start with a warm up here. And I'm going to make sure you can see me. Awesome. Okay, so everybody go ahead and stand up. And we're going to get started with a really easy, I like to call this around the world warm up. So the idea here is that you hit every joint, every muscle in your body. You're just taking a big loop around the world. And so shift your body weight to one leg and just start by mobilizing. Point, flex the ankle, roll it out. Nice. So just because we're starting from the ground up, switch to the other leg. So standing on the other leg. This is also your opportunity to kind of like start to work on your balance a little bit. So point, flex the foot. And by the way, and around the world is a really great, it's a great thing that you can do as like an hourly stretch or something like that, because this takes 5 minutes or less. But it hits every joint in the body and it kind of gets you feeling kind of mobilized and like you're moving. Okay, step your feet together. Soft bend in the knees, turn sideways, and let's do some little knee circles here. So the idea here, if you were to see me from the side, drawing some little circles with the knee, both knees together, and then go ahead and switch directions. Mobilizing the ankles. All right, now stand up, step your feet hip distance apart. I'm gonna do a little diagonal to you. I want you to reach the arms overhead, and then exhale as you sweep the arms behind you. It kind of looks like you're skiing. Bend the knees, bend the hips. Inhale. We're gonna do 10 of these. 7, 8, 9, 10. Stand up. All right, now step your feet hip distance apart again. Hands on the hips, big hip circles. Bending at the hips as you press back behind you. And just kind of mindfully switch directions as you kind of see and feel areas on your hips that are feeling really nice. Kind of lean into that. If you're really liking the outer hip part, lean into that. You might also start to feel that you're getting a little inner thigh stretch here. That's awesome. Just kind of an organic movement here. You also don't have to do big circles. You can do figure eights if you want. So kind of have fun with it. There's a lot going on in your hip joints, and so even if you just, maybe this is your hourly break, every hour on the hour you stand up and you do some big hip circles. That would not be wasted time. All right, now stand all the way up. Let's get some arm swings. Nice deep breaths as you do. I know we're getting the blood moving. Your heart rate might be increasing. Okay, so I just want to say something too to all of you. Something I've noticed by just in myself through attending these online classes is that because I am personally in a space that's unfamiliar, right? Because I am personally working out in my garage or in my living room and not my gym, I've noticed that I can tend to, I think I am putting myself at risk of injury by maybe not warming up completely, or maybe by, you know, trying things in an awkward way that I maybe previously hadn't been trying. And so I just want to blanket say that none of these online workouts during quarantine is the right time for you to be setting any PRs, right? Or going for any max sets or anything like that. We're going for maintenance. We're going for feel-good movements here. You get a gold star just for showing up, okay? So think about just checking the box by showing up. Don't think about putting some sort of crazy pressure on yourself to maybe like start some new regimen or something like that. Now's not the time to do that. Now is the time for self-care, and now is the time for removing those expectations from yourself so that you can truly enjoy and show up, and not afterward feel like, man, I don't think I can do that again. Like, I want you to have fun with this, all right? Okay, so back to the arm swings. Now I want you to go overhead. Swing your arms up overhead. Kind of violently swing them toward the earth. So body weight movements today. Like I said, we're going to do an upper body, a lower body, a core, and a cardio. You will be amazed at all the work that you can do, all the challenge that you can implement with just your body weight. I promise you'll be proud of yourself at the end. Okay, come up to standing and just kind of relax the arms, kind of shake out the wrists. All right, now on to the neck. So kind of be gentle with the neck here in the beginning. Don't just go flinging it around. And so kind of gently relax one ear toward one side, one ear toward the other side. Those of you who are in Southern California or in the Malibu area, we got a crazy amount of rain last night. I kept waking up like every couple of hours. My eyes would pop open. It's like, it's still raining. It was nuts. All right, so from side to side, now we're gonna go forward, back, so just drop your chin towards your chest, and then lift your chin up toward the sky. So forward, backward flexion of the neck. It's kind of like cat-cow for the neck. And then last plane of movement for the neck is to right to left, so turning your chin over the shoulder. So this is not a side-to-side movement. This is a rotational movement for the neck. Turning your neck. Okay, awesome. So that probably started to get the blood pumping, blood moving. Let me get my yoga mat. So what I want you to do next, I want you to lie down on your back. And we're gonna do some scorpions. So just wanna make sure you can see me. So we're gonna do some scorpions. Lie down on your back. The idea here is that it's like a dynamic twist for the low back. So we're not holding this for a super long time. Just pick up one leg, tap it across the body, bring it back to center. Pick up the other leg, tap it across the body, bring it back to center. This should feel really nice. If this is painful, then skip this or see if you can decrease the total range of motion. So rather than maybe tapping your foot on the earth, you might use your hands to kind of help your knee into it, right? So you're maybe supporting your leg just a little bit more. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Suffering is optional, right? You don't show up to hurt yourself. You don't show up to suffer. You show up to maybe take on a little bit of challenge, maybe. But mostly, you show up to get the body moving. And it's counterproductive if you punish yourself. All right, so we're gonna take some scorpions on the other side. So flip over to your front side. I like to have arms out to the sides to stabilize. Pick up one leg, tap it across the body. The other leg, tap it across the body. Dynamic trunk twist here. You might need to negotiate with your neighbor if you're there with a friend. If you're kicking each other, just say sorry. Couple more. Okay, now here on your front side, stay on your front side. We're gonna do some Supermans. Reach the arms forward, point the toes back behind you. Now before you just pick your arms and legs up off the earth, I wanna talk really quickly about your low back, because a lot of times what we'll do is we're just relaxed in the belly, and we pick the arms and legs off the floor, and the low back just goes, Whoa. And so if you feel this in your low back, begin this movement by taking a subtle tuck under with the tailbone, so that engages the low abdominals here. So it's less about just bending in the low back, and it's also about activating the upper back here. So subtle tuck under with the tailbone, and now let's take some Supermans here. Let's do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, go ahead and press up to tabletop here. And take it through a few rounds of cat-cow. So forward, backward flexion of the spine. Okay, so as you're bending in cat-cow, I just want to say something real quick too. Like I said, this is a body weight workout, and so everything that we do is going to be using the resistance of gravity and of the weight of your arms and legs, and you'll understand that once we start to get into the movements. But having said that, if you would like to add some extra resistance to any of these movements, I'm not necessarily going to cue that, but if you have dumbbells, kettlebells, a full water bottle, a backpack filled with books and cans, if you want to start to incorporate some extra weight, some extra resistance, be my guest. There's lots of movements here where you might be able to make it a little bit more challenging with some found objects around the house. I love that. And in fact, if you find that you really enjoyed doing that, please shoot me a message on chat or over Instagram, and maybe I'll start adding some resistance training using objects we can find around the house. Okay, back to, go ahead and press up to plank. So just here at the top of the plank is our first plank of the day. So fire up the core here. And now what I want you to do is I want you to take a soft bend in the knees, but not so much that the knees touch the earth, just enough that you can tuck the tailbone under and engage the abdominals here. All right, now we're going to take a little challenge here. We're going to do some Spider-Man planks. So keeping the soft bend in one knee, shift your body weight to pick up the left knee and see if you can touch it, tap it to your elbow, and then bring it back to that stable all-four position. Right knee to right elbow, bring it back, left knee to left elbow, bring it back, right knee to right elbow, bring it back. 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, 1 more. Nice job. Take it back to downward facing dog. So downward facing dog, maybe bend and straighten the knees, press one foot then the other into the earth. All right, we're going to take it through some inchworm push-ups. Walk the hands back toward the feet. Stand all the way up, nice deep breath, reach for the sky. Exhale, swan dive over the legs, walk it out to plank. Let's do one push-up, knees up or down, it's your choice. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Stand all the way up, deep breath. Exhale, fold, walk it out. One more push-up. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Stand all the way up, we're gonna do 5 more of these. Exhale, fold. Walk it out, another push-up. Walk the hands back, remember to breathe. Inhale to stand, 4 more. Exhale, fold. Walk the hands back. Nice deep breath to stand, 3 more. Exhale, fold. Starting to build a lot of heat up here in the shoulders. Inhale to stand, 2 more. Exhale, fold. Stand all the way up, reach for the sky, exhale, fold. This is your last one. All right, so from the back of your mat, we're gonna talk real briefly about lunges. Step your right foot forward, nice and long. Lower the back knee to the earth, and the idea with lunges is that you want your front knee directly over the front ankle. So you always want to step far enough forward in a lunge that your ankle is under your knee. I can't see you on Zoom, but I don't want anybody doing these for their lunges, right? It's just not necessary for the knee, right? So step it out really far so that you can use your glutes when you stand back up. Let's go ahead and get 4 lunges on each side. Nice deep breaths. Okay, now come on up to the top of your mat. Next, I want to talk about squats. So A squat, and forgive me if you already know all of this, I'm just recapping a lot of functional movements and maybe some movement standards that we may or may not get to today, but that are just really, they're just part of a really nice, complete, total body warm up. And so this is the sort of thing that all the movements that we're doing, we're just getting the blood flowing and the joints moving, all right? So a squat, the mechanics of a squat are, I would say rule number one is that I always want you to keep your heels on the earth, right? This is not a squat, this is a crouch. And even though it's a functional movement because it allows you to get nice and low to maybe inspect something or get down at kid level to talk to a child, this should not be weight bearing. I should not pick up more than my phone when I'm in a crouch like this with the heels off the earth. A squat, however, has the heels down on the earth the entire time, can be weight bearing. I can move hundreds of pounds on a squat because the heels are nailed to the floor, which means that my knees and hips and upper body are supported on a nice strong foundation. So that's rule number one, is the heels down. Rule number two is, in order to keep the heels down, step your feet wide enough so that you can keep your heels down, all right? So looking at me from the front, my feet are actually slightly wider than hip distance apart. So hip distance or wider, and I slightly fan the toes out to the side so they're not parallel to each other. They're pointing to about 11 and 1. Another point to remember with a squat is I want you to initiate with the booty back first, all right? So think about the tailbone pointing back behind you. That initiates the movement of the squat, right? So there's a little bit of lateral movement back behind me rather than just being an elevator with my tailbone. I hope that makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and get 6 squats. Body weight in the heels. If you can, and this is a little bit more secondary, try to get your hips below the level of your knees, but that has more to do with overall hip mobility. And so if you can't get your hips below the level of your knees, no big deal. We'll work on that over time. It's more important that you keep the heels down. And one last thing to remember with squats is I want you to think about driving your knees out to the sides, all right? So this engages your outer hips, these strong muscles in your outer hips that we want to use to drive the knees out to the sides. So I don't want to see anybody squatting like this. Drive the knees out to the sides so that you can use those strong outer hips. Okay, so that's the squat. Next movement. All right, we're going to jump into a little bit of cardio for me. So just right where you are, let's do some butt kickers. 20 seconds of butt kickers, right, left, quick feet. And then let's switch it to high knees. Aim for your hands. Right, left, right, left. All right, go ahead and relax. Bring it back to your mat. And we're going to slow it down with a little squat and fold flow. So back to that squat stance. Nice and wide with the heels. Drop low into the squat. Plant the hands on the earth. And exhale to straighten the legs. Give them a little shake. Inhale to bring the chest over the hips. Exhale to straighten the legs. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 5 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Last time. And exhale. Okay, so go ahead and bend the knees. Step your hands back out to plank. And take it back to downward facing dog. Nice deep breaths. Pay particular attention to the exhale. The longer you can make your exhale, the more you make space for a nice deep inhale. So the key to recovering your cardiorespiratory endurance, right? That your key to building that and recovering from maybe an intense spike in intensity after a cardio burst is to focus on the breath. So blow it out long and slow to the degree that you can. All right, downward facing dog. Let's take it forward to plank. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. 4 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. And exhale. All right, and just to really make sure our shoulders are nice and warm, we're going to go into a little downward facing dog twist. So lift the right leg, bend the knee, and can you stack the right hip on top of left? So you're finding a little bit of a twist in downward facing dog. Now bring it back down. Other side. Inhale, bend the knee, stack the hip. Exhale, back down. Couple more each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. All right, let's all take it back to child's pose. So child's pose, if you've never taken a class with me, big toes touching, knees nice and wide, settle the hips down toward the heels and reach the arms forward on the mat. This is just an opportunity to come back to the breath. Child's pose, by the way, is a really great resting pose because your head is below your heart. So if at any point you find that you get lightheaded from a particular movement, or sometimes like when you're breathing or like working really hard or doing jump squats, which by the way, we're not doing those today, sometimes you can get lightheaded or nauseous from a movement. Child's pose is a great resting pose, great way to down-regulate the breath. Also, as you noticed, you're not making any demands of your muscles here, so it can feel very resting. Great opportunity to kind of unwind the shoulders, unwind the upper back. Okay, so go ahead and glance up at me, if you would, from your mat, in any way that's comfortable for you. You can stay seated, you can stay in child's pose, and you can just turn your face toward me, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to show you the movements of the first circuit, and rather than like me watch all of your thumbnails and like make sure everyone's fine, I'm just going to demonstrate them really well right here, and then we're going to do them together. And so, like I said, it's 2 circuits total. Each circuit has 4 movements. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned this, we're going to do each movement for a minute. So I'm going to keep track of it on my little watch here. So that means that there's a total amount of work of, well, 24 minutes total. So there's 24 minutes total of work. A minute per movement, 4 movements, and we're doing each circuit 3 times. So the first movement, I'm just going to show you the first 4 movements of the first circuit. So the first movement is a squat to lunge sort of situation. So I'm going to have you in a low, it's not really a squat, it's more of a quarter squat. So kind of a low quarter squat. So don't worry about having your hips below your knees for this one. It's just a bend in the knees. What I want you to do is I want you to step it back and then step it forward. Step it back, step it forward. Step it back and forward. So notice we're keeping a bend in the knees the entire time. So you're going to feel a burn in your quads. That's a lower body move. All right, and then we're going to move to the ground, take it into a downward facing dog, kind of like we did in the beginning, or in our warm up, a little downward facing dog twist. Downward facing dog twist. For those of you who want a little extra challenge here, bringing it up into your shoulders, you can take your downward facing dog twist into a fallen triangle, and then bring it back and then down. Make sure you hit right, left, back and down. All right, so that's your downward facing dog twist. And then the third movement is going to be more core here. It's going to be a forearm plank flow, right? So those of you who, if a high plank bothers your wrists, you're going to like this. Starting in a forearm plank, rotate nice and slowly to a side plank, back to center, into a side plank, other side, back to center. We're moving through this mindfully, very controlled, right? So we're not flinging to the right or the left. We're moving controlled. We're maintaining tension of the core. And then the last movement is your cardio burst. So for 1 minute, you're doing skaters. Right to left, lateral movement, just a little side to side hop. If you're not sure how wide to hop, you can use the width of your mat. Make sure you're getting your arms and legs into it. Okay, so those are our 4 movements. We're gonna start in 15 seconds. So at the top of the minute, and I'm gonna change this movement every minute. So I'm gonna keep track of the time. Starting with that squat to lunge here at the top of the mat. In 2, 1, go. Forward, backward, stay in that low squat. Step it back to a lunge, step it forward. Nice and low. Control your breathing. Already 15 seconds in. A minute goes fast. Yeah, I just also realized that you could also move your arms with this one if you want to use your arms as a little bit of a counterbalance. 20 seconds, and then we're changing to that downward facing dog with that twist, with that high leg. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take it back to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, bend and stack the hips. Left to right. Remember, if you want to make this a little bit more challenging, you can try bringing your leg under and through into that fallen triangle. A little bit of core work. Right to left. Building some flexibility here too in the hips. Next is the forearm plank flow in 20 seconds. Three, 2, 1, go there, into your forearm plank, and we're going from center to side, center to side. And by the way, if you want to dial this down a little bit, at the center, you can take a little break on your knees, and then into the side, lifting the knees off the earth. So every time you come to center, maybe you can take a quick pause on your knees. Already 30 seconds through. We're going to stand up and do skaters in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Skater plyos, stand up. Right to left, quick with your feet. This is your cardio burst. I don't think I said this, but I think it goes without saying that you are in charge of your rests, right? So we're on a running clock here. We're going through this circuit 3 times, and then we'll take a break. But that's 12 minutes of movement. So you are in charge of when you rest. And in fact, maybe you can choose 10 seconds every minute. Decide when your rests are coming, rather than making it something that just sneaks up behind you and slaps you. Quick movements. 15 seconds. Control your breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Back up to the top of your mat. Find that quarter squat. Back to the lunge. Lunge to squat. You want to move your arms with it. It's kind of a nice way to keep your balance. So we've already started the second time through this circuit. We're only doing it 3 times. So can you find a nice working pace for this middle circuit? 10 seconds, and then it's that downward facing dog with the high knees. All right, 2 downward facing dog, and then right into it. Nice and stable with the upper body. Fluid movements with the lower body. Seconds. Then it's forearm, the forearm plank flow. Three, 2, and 1. Lower into that forearm plank. Let's do this. Side to side, side to center to side. Already 20 seconds through, stay with it. Remember, you're in charge of your breaks. One minute can feel like a long time. Skater plyos in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand up. Find that right to left movement. Lateral hops. Quick on the feet. Get your arms and legs moving. This is your cardio burst. Nice job. I think I can see Tawny. Way to go, you're killing it. All right, so we're coming up on the last time through this circuit. Third and last. Leave it all here. In 10 seconds. 2, 1. Back to the top of your mat for that quarter squat and lunge. This is your last time doing this movement. Seconds. 3, 2, 1. Downward facing dog. Find those twists. Twenty more seconds. Three, 2, 1. Right back in that forearm plank. Hit the deck. Stabilize your core. Right to left. Remember, this is your last time doing this movement. Remember, like I said, for a little break, you can drop your knees to the earth in the middle. It's a great spot to restabilize. Take a little bit of the body weight off your shoulders. Three, 2, and 1. Skater plyos. This is your last cardio burst, and then we get a break. You get to leave this whole circuit behind you. Shake it out. Leave it all here. Stay with it. 30 seconds. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Focus on your breath. Maybe you take child's pose. Maybe you take a sip of water. Nice deep breath. See if you can lengthen the exhale like we talked about so that you can make space for that inhale. Okay, I'm going to talk to you for a second. So we've got one more circuit. It's going to be the same but different, right? Because 4 different movements, but it's the same rep scheme, okay? So a minute per movement, 3 times through the circuit, 4 movements. So these are what the 4 movements are. Number 1, Supermans, right? So like we did at the beginning, arms and legs forward. Remember to tuck your tailbone under to engage the low belly and have this not just be about the lower back. Arms and legs off the earth. Continuous movement for 1 minute. Okay, so a quick note on Supermans is that it can feel really easy for the first 10, but a minute is a long time. So one way that you can make your Supermans just a little bit easier is by shortening the lever. So the lever being your arms, can you turn them into parachuters 90 degrees? It decreases the amount of weight that you have to lift off the ground. Okay? Another way to do it is to maybe do 10, and then take a breather, and then do 10 more, and then take a breather, all right? You are in charge of your rests, just to remind you. Okay, circuit number 2, or second movement, push-ups. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The only way to get better at push-ups is to do push-ups, okay? It's not entirely true, you can bench press, blah, blah, blah. But I'm a big fan of training push-ups for building upper body strength. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be able to do a standard knees up push-up for the entire minute. You don't have to be able to do that, all right? You've got options. One great option is called a transition push-up, where you lower with using just your arms, knees off the ground, and then put the knees down to press up. Knees up on the way down, knees down on the way up. So basically when you're moving against gravity, you're building strength. And then when you're pressing against the earth, you're getting a little bit of help. Another way, another great option is to find some sort of a object around your house, or you can use a step if you've got a stairwell in your house. Second, third step, elevate your hands. There's some mathematical formula to figuring out just how much body weight comes off of your hands when you elevate them during a push-up. So find a chair, find a bench. Another nice thing about elevating your hands is that you can now hold on to the sides. So if regular push-ups bother your wrists, you might really like holding on to the sides of something because it's a little bit more natural position for the wrists, less painful. One quick note here is that if you feel like you only want to do push-ups on your knees up and down, I would rather you elevate your hands. And the reason for that is that when you have your knees down, when you get tired, it's easy to turn it into like a tabletop sort of thing with my butt up in the air, right? But if the knees are off the earth, if I'm elevating my hands, then my knees can't save me when I start to get tired. So maybe it's not a cooler. Maybe it's a chair that's a little bit higher. Maybe it's a table or a countertop, all right? You don't have to be able to do fancy push-ups today. This is day one of bodyweight training. So we're gonna build some strength here. So I know I talked a long time about the push-ups. I'm just very passionate about them. Okay, and then the third movement is gonna be, I'm calling it a single leg flowing Romanian deadlift. Complicated name. For this kind of funky looking movement, all right, we're alternating right to left. What I want you to do, what I'm doing with my arms is I'm just incorporating a little bit of balance here. And so I'm tapping with the opposite arm as foot so that I stay balanced right to left. Something I want you to really focus on, and I'll remind you of this, is keeping the leg not perfectly straight because most people don't have the flexibility for that, including me. Have a soft bend in the knee, but only enough that the bend in the knee can absorb your need to balance. Because I do want you to feel stretching in the hamstring on the way down, engagement in the hamstring on the way up. We're working on our posterior chains for this one. And the last movement is a back burpee, okay? Not a front burpee, a back burpee, which looks like this, and then I'm gonna break it down for you. So the idea here is that I want you to lie down on your back and then get off the ground. There's lots of ways to do this. Some of you who are super flexy will be able to get off the ground just by rolling in without using your hands. Some of you might want help from one hand behind you into that standing position. Some of you might turn this into a little bit of a lunge to get up off the ground. This is a total body movement. I'm calling this one our cardio, okay? So a minute of back burpees. I am hopeful that we've all caught our breath now, that we're ready to attack these next 3 times through circuit number 2, and then we're gonna finish it out with a couple stretches and a brief shavasana. All right, we're gonna start in 25 seconds at the top of the minute. Movement number 1, Supermans. Movement number 2, push-ups. Movement number 3, those flowing Romanian deadlifts. Movement number 4, back burpees. 12 seconds. Starting with Supermans. You're on your front side. 1 minute each. Remember, you're in charge of your rest. 3, 2, 1, go. "25 seconds in. "15 seconds, then we move to push-ups. And push-ups, here we go. Just a quick reminder, if you're doing transition push-ups where your legs are straight on the way down, make sure your knees are down on the way up. Ah. 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds, you got this. Three, two, one. That was terrible. Flowing Romanian deadlifts. I'm also gonna, some of you who've been to like traditional weightlifting classes, you might also call these bird peckers. So just as a reminder, you should feel elongation down the back of the leg and then engage those same muscles as you stand. Move at the pace of your balance. I'm kind of falling all over the place. Try not to fall all over the place. Move slow and controlled. Slow and controlled also means this is kind of an opportunity to catch your breath again before those back burpees. Five seconds. 2, 1. Back burpees. 1 minute. All the way onto your back. All the way into the air. Any way that is most advantageous or efficient for you to get off the ground is the right way to do it. It doesn't have to look pretty, but frankly, burpees aren't pretty, but they are functional. Twenty seconds. And then it's right back into Superman's. Three, two, one. Superman's, 1 minute. Second time doing this movement. Fifteen seconds. Two, one. Push-ups. Here we go. I'm moving my cooler. Take breaks when you need to. When it comes to push-ups, try to break this up into sets where you could do maybe 4 or 5 in one set. Don't tire yourself out so much that you're just doing singles, all right? Can you get 4 or 5? And then rest. 3, 2, 1. one. Bird peckers. Move at the pace of your balance. This is your opportunity to catch your breath again. For that matter, in some ways, push-ups are also your opportunity to catch your breath because it's not cardio, it's more muscular endurance. So you probably didn't lose your breath from the push-ups, is my guess, in the same way that you can lose it from something like back burpees, for example. So make sure your floating leg kicks high as a counterbalance to your upper body. One way you keep everything slow and controlled, here I'll face you, one way to keep everything slow and controlled is to keep both hips level with the earth. For my yogis in the room, think warrior 3. Oh, back burpees, here we go. 1 minute of back burpees. Actually a little less, or like 50 seconds. Ten seconds. Then it's back to Superman's for the last time. Superman's, here we go, on the ground. Last time doing Superman's, make it count. Remember to tuck your tailbone under ever so slightly. This isn't just about your back muscles. Your core goes all the way around your body. Push-ups, last set of push-ups right here. You don't have to be able to do push-ups for the whole minute, but I want you to do more than 0. Remember, small sets, 4 or 5 push-ups, shake the arms out. 20 seconds. Two, 1, stand up. Bird peckers. Find your balance. Slow and controlled. Like I said last time, try to keep your hips level with the earth. That will also help with those of you who might be feeling like you're not getting a pull down your hamstring. If you lower your floating hip toward the earth, you should feel more engagement of the hamstring as you lower, which also translates to engagement as you stand back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last little bit of back burpees right here. Make me proud, everyone. Seconds. Four, three, two, and one. Everybody lie down on your back. Lie down on your back. Hug both knees to the chest and gently roll side to side. All right, now cross the right ankle over the left knee for a little figure four. And as you're using your breath, your long exhales to down regulate that breathing, that heart rate. See if you can also incorporate more volume in your belly. So as you inhale, breathe into your diaphragm. Okay, go ahead and switch legs. Same thing. Check in with that long breath. Because when we start to focus on just the inhales and we start to kind of hyperventilate, which is really, that's what's happening when we don't feel like we can get enough oxygen, and so we focus on the inhales, and that's why I say do the opposite of that, focus on the exhales, and that will even out the amount of oxygen in your bloodstream, even out and down regulate your heart rate. But what happens is when we start to really focus on the inhales, we can get really panicked and we're breathing with our rib cage, and so can you lower the level of your breath down to your belly. All right, so still on your back here, go ahead and actually roll over to your front side, and this is a really nice stretch here because we just did some Supermans, and so you might feel that in your upper back. This is called Sphinx pose. So the key with Sphinx pose is to have your elbow right beneath your shoulder, and so your upper arm bone, your humerus, is vertical, perpendicular to the floor. And the idea here, again, kind of like with Superman, is to get a little tuck under with the tailbone. Draw your sternum forward through your upper arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades together behind your back. Nice stretch for the upper back. Well, nice stretch across the front of the chest, but you might actually even crack your upper back. Sometimes I do in this pose. Okay, so I want to wrap this up in a timely manner. So go ahead and lie down on your back here and just find a comfortable pose. We're going to do a 30-second Shavasana. So really brief here. This is your chance to once more check in with your breath. Slow the breathing down. And we'll close it out before we move on with our day. Shavasana. Okay, I know that wasn't nearly long enough, but go ahead and roll over to one side. Bring yourself back up to a comfortable seated position. Lightly rest your hands on your knees. And let's close this out together by taking a nice deep breath. Inhale, arms overhead, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Thank you for sweating with me. Namaste.